現場には情報提供を呼びかける警察のこのような看板が設置されています。しかし、未だ事件は解決に至っていません。
On a late winter evening, a young man was riding his bike on his way to visit a friend. Unfortunately, he never arrived, and what should have been a night of fun turned into a night that would end in unexpected tragedy. This is the true, unsolved case of the Seika manga student incident. Being a very talented artist and storyteller through a lifetime of reading Japanese comics, 20-year-old Daisaku Chiba had dreams of becoming a professional manga creator. After years of grueling study and hard work, he entered into the one-of-a-kind manga department of the Kyoto Seika University, a unique and competitive sector that attracts aspiring artists from all over the country. As we can see from his excellent drawings here on the screen right now, he was certainly worthy of the opportunity to study in such a coveted place. He was described by friends as being warm-hearted, hard-working, and someone who was always able to lend an ear and listen to the concerns of others. The kind of person you would expect to be a class leader. He had a good relationship with his mother, and one of the reasons he aspired to become a successful manga artist was so that he could support her. It was said that he was not the type to cause trouble with others. At around 7:40 p.m. on the 15th of January 2007, after waving goodbye to some of his fellow classmates with whom he'd spent time with, Daisaku departed from the university on his bicycle to go to another friend's apartment. Unfortunately, he would only ride for a few minutes. He cycled east down the country road towards the apartment. Since it was nighttime in a rural area of the city, there were few people around, but still plenty of cars and buses, not to mention other students from the university. After traveling just 700 meters down the road, something happened. The exact circumstances remain unclear, but Daisaku encountered another cyclist going down the same road in the opposite direction. According to a witness who stood on the other side of the road, the unknown man was completely irate. So angry was he that his face went red, and he widened his arms in a very intimidating, almost cartoonish manner. Likely taken aback by such behavior, Daisaku merely stood before him with his head slightly bowed, as one may do if they felt unsettled. According to another witness in the area, the man then displayed some bizarre actions. He began to sway his arms and head left and right, while repeating curse words over and over in an anger-filled voice. It's hard to visualize such a thing with just a verbal description, but luckily Kyoto Prefectural Police released this mock-up footage based on eyewitness accounts.
Aho! Bokeh! Aho! Bokeh! Aho! Bokeh! Aho! Bokeh! Aho! Bokeh! Aho! Bokeh!
A news station also recorded a demonstration of the movements that the man made in the actual location. According to witnesses, as he did this movement, his eyes were seemingly unfocused and pointing in opposite directions. He continued this action, moving closer to Daisaku as bystanders moved away, leaving the two alone. The great anger within this man would not subside, and things would take a dark turn. He pulled out a small knife and unleashed it upon Daisaku. He thrust it wildly at Daisaku. The onslaught was sudden, and both Daisaku and the unknown man fell into the field adjacent to the road they had been cycling on. From the clear footprints and wounds on Daisaku's back, police deduced that he had attempted to flee his assailant, but the irate man would not let up. What must have been just seconds later, another cyclist came riding down the road. There, he witnessed an unusual scene. He saw the unknown man crouching on the pavement and facing the road, away from the field. In the field below, the witness saw Daisaku lying on the ground. The cyclist, feeling a great amount of dread and fearing for his safety, continued to cycle away. He glanced at the crouching man, but from his behavior, it appeared that he was scared to show his face, even though he didn't say a word. As the witness cycled away, he felt that the situation was very suspicious, so he decided to return to the scene about 30 seconds later. When he returned, the crouching man was gone, and Daisaku, who had climbed up from the field and onto the road, was sat on the floor, trying to message his friend and call an ambulance on his mobile phone. Daisaku said to the cyclist, "I was stabbed by a man I didn't know. Please call an ambulance." The cyclist did so, and the paramedics were very quick, arriving within 2 minutes of the attack at 7:52 p.m. Yes, all this happened very quickly, around 10 minutes after departing from the university. Daisaku was still conscious at this point, and despite his dire situation, he mustered all his strength and revealed very important information to the emergency staff. He said, "I didn't know the criminal. He suddenly started shouting at me. He forced me down into the field. He stabbed over and over. I climbed back up to the road and tried to call an ambulance, but I couldn't. The man was a little older than me. He was raced to the hospital, but despite the swift and skillful actions of the emergency services, Daisaku Chiba passed away shortly after." Kyoto Prefectural Police immediately began an investigation to find out what had happened. They interviewed Daisaku's friends and requested that one of them officially identify the body, since Daisaku's mother lived far away in Sendai. After questioning numerous direct witnesses, they managed to create 2 sketches of the suspect, as well as gather information about the unknown man's appearance. From Daisaku's comments before he passed, and other witness testimony, the man was in his 20s or 30s, 170 to 180 centimeters tall, had ruffled hair that parted in the middle, wore all black clothing, and appeared to be Japanese. And as I said previously, his eyes appeared to be out of focus during the encounter, suggesting that he suffered from exotropia. From the footprints found in the field next to the road, police determined that his shoe size was 27 to 29 centimeters, and because the sole imprint was visible, they were able to determine the type of shoe. As seen in these images here, he wore what was described as foreign hiking or walking boots. While the exact shoe couldn't be determined, they appeared to be dark in color, according to witnesses. Notably, he was riding a dark-colored bicycle. This wasn't like a bicycle you may see often in the West, though. It was a bike known as a mamachari, or mother's bicycle. It is named this because it has a space on the back to fit a child's seat, and a basket at the front for a bag. It is certainly not the type of bike used to travel a great distance, so police believe that the assailant must live close by to the scene. In fact, they theorize that he may have been traveling home after work or something, so using that and the direction he was traveling at the time, they believe he could have lived within 4.5 kilometers of the area. Therefore, within 1 month of the incident, 75 officers performed door-to-door investigations within this designated area and gathered 194 pieces of information. Investigators also tried to discover why this happened, as well as guess what kind of man the assailant was. The pavement on the side of the road was 1.5 meters across. Because Daisaku and the assailant were cycling in opposite directions, and the quarrel broke out suddenly when they encountered one another, police strongly believe that the two inadvertently bumped into each other. Since the pavement is very narrow, it is hard for two bikes to squeeze past each other, and the drop below to the field is quite high. Perhaps the man became enraged as they crashed, and in his anger-fueled state, he lashed out physically. Theft wasn't a motive, because none of Daisaku's possessions were taken from the scene, and both Daisaku and the witnesses described how sudden and unexpected the situation was, so it didn't seem like a planned mugging. The location of the incident also made police believe that it wasn't a premeditated attack. While it was in a more rural part of the city, there were a row of homes facing the field less than 100 meters away, and the road still had many cars and buses driving on it at the time. This kind of location wouldn't be good for such an assault if the perpetrator wished to avoid witnesses and remain undetected. In other words, it appears that it was completely random, and Daisaku was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And unfortunately, this is all we know about the incident. Despite very quick police work and information gathering in the area, authorities are yet to receive information that leads to a particular suspect. Some reports state that thousands of pieces of information have been received, and even now, 14 years later, not a month goes by without somebody reporting information. But alas, it seems that the case went cold very quickly, and active investigations are kept to a minimum. Police did receive some information about what kind of person they believe the mystery man to be, however. They suspect that he was very quick-tempered, and the kind of person that suddenly becomes extremely enraged, even over trivial matters. They think this could mean that he lacks good social skills, and can often be physically confrontational. He also probably uses a lot of curse words in his daily life, and habitually carries around a blade with him. But the police are just speculating the man's characteristics on one incident, so we cannot be sure about these things. Of course, with unsolved cases like this, rumors begin to flourish. Many people looking at this crime have noted just how unusual the man's swaying motion was. It goes without saying, but anger is an emotion, and physical movements associated with it are almost universal. But the strange swaying the man performed doesn't seem like a natural thing a normal person would do instinctively. There is no evidence at all for the following, but some people have speculated that the man may have suffered from a mental illness. The area of the crime is known to have facilities that cater for people with psychotic issues, so some have theorized that the attacker was a patient of some kind. I am not too sure about this, however. While I certainly agree that the swaying motion was unusual, I suspect facilities for such people would be guarded, and patients wouldn't be allowed to leave willingly. Daisaku's mother has worked tirelessly to raise awareness for her son's death. Every year she travels down to Kyoto to distribute leaflets and put up posters, hoping that someone, somewhere, will give her the information she needs to arrest her son's killer. In fact, the sketches of the face of the criminal have become a common sight around the city, but as the years pass, so too do the chances of people remembering something. Fellow manga students and teachers at the university also created illustrations in conjunction with the police to raise awareness of the case. They even created a manga leaflet that told the story of the incident in comic book form, as well as give people an idea of what kind of person Daisaku was. On the final page of this manga, they wrote this: "The criminal is probably hidden among you. You are the one who can find him." Thank you for watching my 18th YouTube video. If you liked it, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you wish to see more. A bit of a shorter video than usual, but I have known about this case for a long time and always wanted to cover it. I wonder why, even with so much information being given to investigators and a quick response, the case never really moved beyond the initial investigation. It seems like many notable characteristics about the unknown man were spotted by witnesses, so I feel a little frustrated by the incident. Anyway, Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Until next time, goodbye.